Guys, just got to kind of put it all together over here the next 10, week to 10 days and see what happens.
What have you seen from Kyler Fisher? Because he's the first guy I thought of when I think punt team player that can kind of emerge into a starter. What have you seen from him that might be a translatable skill to the linebacker position?
To linebacker position, I think one, he can run and hit, and I think we've all seen that. We've seen it in special teams. We've seen it here on the football field and practice field. I think the guy's a tremendous athlete. He's a powerful guy, explosive guy. So it's just been fun watching him mature and grow. Not one as a person, but now two as an athlete, as a player. And I think the sky's the limit for him.
I don't know if you've asked your guys this, but one of my favorite answers I've ever heard you give was the Adrian Claiborne. Like, who here has heard of Adrian Claiborne? Well,
yeah.
You know he started on special teams. Have you had a moment like that with your crew in the last, I think, 6 months? We're talking about
like 3 days ago. Yeah, like 3 days ago. So I've talked about Sean Green, I've talked about Desmond King, I've talked about Dallas Clark, talked about Bob Sanders, talked about Henry Marquez, kind of the flip side of that. A guy whose role really was special teams. Same thing with Devontae Young. Guys that are in that role that maybe they weren't heralded on offense or defense, but made tremendous impact for our team on special teams. And I think we have some guys like that. Stories still yet to be written for them, and I'm anxious to see it all play out.
I'm not saying this doesn't happen at other schools, but what is it about Iowa and your system that gets people in the door on special teams, through special teams, up until they're a senior or the redshirt senior, and they don't want to transfer?
First of all, it's not my system, right? This is Coach Ferentz's system. It's his belief. It's his philosophy on football, and I think that trickles down to all of us. And I feel like over the course of 24, 25 years that we've all heard that message. Myself, Abdul, Liddell, Coach Bell, Coach Brian, all of us played here. We all played in this program, and we've been hearing it for 25 years. Or maybe even longer in Brian's case, right? He's probably heard it his whole life. But my point is that I think that's just the philosophy within the program, the culture within the program. So, just here, just trying to help push guys along and push them forward.
Coach Woods, in the spring, you mentioned Cooper DeJean. It was going to be pretty tough to get that punt return position away from a guy like that who can make those type of plays. Is that still how you feel? Are you looking at him as potentially a kick return guy? What is that looking like?
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to see because we're in that role, and he's done a really good job with it. I do think there are other candidates as well, that could go out there, but he's got the lead on it right now. I think anytime Cooper's on the field, the ball's in hand, I think good things can happen. So, that's kind of the thought right now. Moving forward, you mentioned a couple other guys I feel like have taken a step forward with Caden Weegent, Nico Reganey, Caleb Brown's been a new addition I didn't really know about. Seth Anderson, same thing. And then a couple other young freshmen that are just starting to get their groove a little bit. And I could see. I think there's prospects there. Right now, it's just putting it all together and getting some of that game experience, which the only way you get that is game experience. So that's all we're looking at right now.
Does that translate to the kick return game as well? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm happy with what Caleb Johnson did last year. Last year, different year. He's been in my ear every day about how he felt like we could have scored on 2 different returns that he didn't score on. This year I'm scoring on him, so he's eager, which is good. And now it's just putting the thing together, and we install a kick return next week. So we haven't quite gotten to that phase yet.
LeVar, talk about your place kicker, Drew Stevens, and his progression from year 1 to this year.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure anyone on this football team has matured and grown and improved more than Drew Stevens in the short time he's been here, probably a year and a half. I want to call it that. He's grown physically. He's put on weight. It allows him to help move the ball down the field quicker. He's hit some kicks in practice, and it's pretty impressive. We haven't quite got him beyond the 60 range yet, but I think as time goes, Drew's a smooth operator on the football field, and it's fun to watch. He's got incredible. How do I put this? He's incredibly competitive. Okay? Works his butt off, almost to the fall where you got to hold him back from kicking too many balls. He's a perfectionist. He's trying to be great. So that's a fun combination to have.
And it's going to be exciting to have Torrey back as the punter.
Yeah, and I've seen Torrey. Torrey's done a great job thus far in punting the ball. Right, he's got a standard that he's trying to set, internal standard that he's trying to meet each day. It's been fun to watch him do it. I've really enjoyed this offseason watching him grow and mature as a leader. It's not something he's comfortable with all the time. And I'm not even talking about within the specialists, I'm talking about within the team. He's done a really good job with that.
Anybody else for John Budman?
Okay, great. Good to see you.
So, yeah, having Aaron Ball be your backup kicker and backup punter in essence, and then bringing in Ty Nissen, are you looking at him to fill both those roles right now as sort of a backup kicker and backup punter?
No, Ty's a punter only, and I think he's been a good addition. The guy's very diligent about his work, and seen some good flashes from him. Now he's been here like 3 days, 4 days, so anxious to see how he continues to grow for that role.
What went into that decision to bring him in? I know he worked out here at a camp.
Yeah.
Is that kind of...
Yeah, well, we didn't have a backup punter, so...
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
build that sort of foundation to look at him and bring him in. Was that camp?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, we didn't have a backup punter, so someone's got to do it.
Right. And
it's
so God forbid Drew gets hurt. Do you have a backup kicker?
We have a plan. We always got a plan. But,
Okay.
we won't divulge that plan until the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's time for game day.
Sure.
But we always got a plan.
Cool. Sounds good. I believe you.
Tory Taylor mentioned on the podcast that just came out today that he had dropped some weight, was trying to work on like leg speed, etc. Have you seen a whole lot of improvement out of him during practice thus far in terms of like how that physical transformation has helped him as a punter?
I have, and I've also seen he's a little bit more diligent with his work. Right? He's a little bit more in tune to how many balls he's hitting, so he's not over kicking, over training, which a lot of times I think when he was younger was an issue. You know, the natural reaction, especially like if you're a golfer, something like that. If you don't like the swing you've hit or the ball you've hit,